Welcome. My name is Mr. Sunarine, and today we're going to be looking at how can converting decimal numbers to fraction help us add decimal numbers. Before we get into today's lesson, we're going to be looking at adding numbers with carry. So in this example of 15 plus 29, notice how the 5 and 9 are in the ones place and the 1 and the 2 are in the tens place. Here, when we're adding, we're going to add first the 5 and 9, giving us 14. So the 4 stays over here in the ones place. We carry the 1, and then from here we add 2 plus 1, which is 4, giving us our final answer of 44. Now we're going to get into today's launch. What can you tell me about each decimal listed below? So here I want you to think about how can you rewrite 3 tenths and 57 hundredths. So think about how you would write it as a fraction in words and as the decimal here. Okay, we're gonna pause and then we're gonna check our answers. Here are the answers for this problem. So notice how in the written we wrote it out as 3 tenths. In the decimal, we did leave it as 0.3, which is 3 tenths, as well as 0.30, adding the 0 for the hundredth spot, as well as a fraction. If we have 3 tenths, we can also write it as 30 over 100, which is 30 hundredths. We also do the same thing here, and here's an example for the 57 hundredths. Now we're going to get into another problem. Here, let's look at this problem. Add the two decimals, so we have 3 tenths plus 57 hundredths. So pause the video, think about how you would develop this answer, and we're going to compare your answers on the next slide. So here, when you're adding decimals, it's important to line up the places in the correct spot. So here I developed a table that helps us organize the ones spot. There's also a spot for the decimal point, the tenths, and the hundredths. So here I wrote the 0.3, which we know is 3 tenths. The 3 is in the tenth spot. There is no hundredths, so we put a 0 there, as well as we put a 0 in the ones place. We do the same thing with the 57 hundredths, and we put that here. 5 goes in the tenths, and the 7 goes in the hundredths. Just like in the sample problem, we're adding down. So 0 and 7 gives you 7, 3 and 5 gives you 8, and that is our final answer. It is 87 hundredths. Now we're going to look at some other examples. Try this question on your own, pause the video, and we will compare our answers on the next slide. So hopefully you had a chance to work through the question. We also developed a chart for this problem, and we placed the numbers in here accordingly. And notice when we're adding them, we have 0 and 4 gives us 4. The next spot is 5 and 6 gives us 11, and we're going to keep the 1 in the 10th spot, and we're going to carry the 1 in the 1 spot. And here we have 1. There's no 0, so 1 plus 0 and 0 gives us 1, giving this our final answer. So 1 and 1400. We're going to look at 2 more questions. So here's another example. Try this one on your own, and we're going to compare our answers on the next slide. Okay, so here's another example where we're going to be adding numbers together and there's some carrying over. So here we don't have any hundreds, so we add them across. So 0 and 0 is 0. In the 10 spot, 8 and 7 gives us 15, so we leave the 5 down here. We're going to carry the 1 in the next place, which is the 1 spot, and then here we're going to add all those numbers together. So 1, 6, and 5 gives us 12, and we keep the 2 down here, and we move the 1 and carry it on the 10th spot. Here we only have 1, there's nothing in the 10th spot, so we just bring it down, and our final answer is 12 and 5/10. Or, because we have the 0, you can say it as 12 and 50/100. Both answers are acceptable. And now we're going to go on to our final question. Here we have this problem here. So to pause the video, think about how you would work through this question, and we will respond on the next slide. So looking at this problem, again, we line up each of the numbers in their respectful places. We add down, so 0 and 7 in the 100th spot. 0 and 7 gives us 7. We're going to look at the 10th spot. 8 and 2 is 10, so we keep the 0, bring the 1 up above here, and we're going to add 1, 4, and 3, giving us 8, giving us our final answer of 8 and 7/100. Okay, now we're going to move into our summarization. How does converting decimal numbers to fractions help us to add decimal numbers? We can line up the numbers in the right place. This will help us add numbers accurately. So in this example, we see the numbers and we put them in their right spot and we add down, giving us our final answer. Hope this was helpful and have a great day.